Welcome back to Hashtag Fish, the channel where we teach the science of shrimp and fish farming.
He's still alive?
It's still alive, yeah.
You say it's a meal.
It must be some reflection. It means not alive.
Just
Today is a very special episode as we are going to talk about the most beautiful, expensive, and delicious of all shrimp, the Japanese tiger prawn. We are taking you on a trip to Okinawa where we are visiting the Tamaya farm and restaurant where they serve the freshest Godzilla shrimp you will ever get and where they serve it in a variety of ways. Sashimi, of course, tempura, fried. I am a shrimp expert and oh boy, it was one of the best meals I've ever had. And of course, we are going to show you how the Okinawans farm the kuruma prawn. The Japanese tiger prawn is so famous they are considered a must-do attraction in Okinawa, where most of the production in Japan comes from. So come with me to the Okinawa archipelago, a 4-hour flight south of Tokyo. Actually, we are visiting the very special Iagaji Island, where Tamaya Farm and Restaurant is located and specializes in the Japanese tiger prawn, Metapeneus japonicus culture. The kuruma prawn has these beautiful brown stripes and a blue tail and is one of the most difficult species to be farmed. I spoke about the different species of farm shrimp in our first episode of this series, but let's recap. The 4 major farm species of shrimp are the white-leg shrimp, the banana prawn, the black tiger prawn, and the kuruma prawn. Look at the price differences. The beautiful kuruma being sold at $60 per kilo, which is about 4 times the price of the vename in this Hong Kong wet market. This is because the kuruma is not so easy to be farmed. They are more sensitive than the other species and the Japanese know well how to take good care of them. After all, it was the Japanese Dr. Hodinaga, the first person to figure out how to close the life cycle of a pinnate shrimp in captivity in 1934. If you want to go one step further in your shrimp farming skills, please check out our 120-day protocol for intense shrimp farming in the description below. Let's now talk about how the Japanese of Okinawa managed to successfully farm the kuruma. As we can see, the waters of Okinawa are beautifully clean oceanic waters away from urban and industrial pollution sources. In terms of pond sizes, they are not very large, with the largest ones being about 4,000 to 10,000 plus square meters in size. There seems to be a tendency of some farms to further divide their ponds into smaller areas of 1,000 to 2,000 square meters for greater management control and the possibility of higher stocking densities. A characteristic we don't see often in shrimp farming is the use of vertical concrete walls dividing the ponds, which makes for much better use of space. It makes the average pond depth deeper and also helps with the currents instead of the traditional sloping dikes. These ponds have a sandy bottom as the kuruma prawn has a very strong habit of burying themselves in the sand. Here I managed to get a couple of videos in the aquarium and I borrowed this video from another YouTube channel that shows how the shrimp bury themselves in the pond. And for this reason, the Okinawans are immaculate in the preparation of the bottom of their ponds. Look at the attention to detail and how they give thought to central drains. This type of preparation has a close resemblance to the art of the Japanese sand gardens. In terms of feeding, I was very surprised to learn that the Okinawans don't make use of feeding trays to monitor feed consumption like my colleague Daniela is doing in Australia. We often complain that it is difficult to monitor the consumption because we don't see the shrimp. Well, that is not the case for the Okinawans. The kuruma well-being and the quality of the pond bottom are so important to them that they actually dive in the pond a few times per day to visually check the shrimp. Another characteristic is that the Japanese farmers do not risk oxygen levels going low and make use of heavy aeration 24/7, and the paddle wheels seem to be the preferred type. The Japanese farmers make sure Water is always moving in the pond and there are quite strong currents. Even in the big ponds, lots and lots of paddle wheels are used to make these circular currents so that the wastes accumulate in the center of the pond where they position the drains to actively remove the sludge formed throughout the cycle through these water exchanges. Here you can see how clean the bottom of the ponds are just a few days after they were harvested, and this reflects all the love and the care the Okinawans put into raising their delicious kuruma prawn. One thing we notice all around the ponds is the presence of these shrimp traps. They are collapsible for easy storage, but the most interesting aspect is that these traps allow for continuous harvest of the larger shrimp when they reach the harvestable size, while the smaller ones can easily pass through the net opening. This way, the smaller ones have more access to the feed and more space to keep growing. In addition, they do not disturb the pond bottom or hurt the kuruma prawn that likes to bury in the sand. Here we had the honor to meet with Tamaya's president, Mr. Kawasaki Itaru, who was kind enough to share with us in more detail on how the kuruma prawns are shipped live in boxes to Tokyo. Firstly, where they cool to 12 to 14 degrees Celsius and then carefully placed in layers alternating with a wet thick paper into a smaller cardboard box and then placed into a larger box before being sent to the airport. Some farmers use dry sawdust instead. The survival rate with this method is over 90%, and the buyers in Tokyo will pay a hefty premium price for the live kuruma. We noted that the Okinawans are very proud of their kuruma, and the quality for them in all aspects is very important. In their restaurant, the presentation of the dishes and the freshness of the products was something I had never ever experimented in my 26 years working with farm shrimp, and I look very much forward to visiting them again in the near future. If you want to go one step further in your shrimp farming skills, please check out our 120-day protocol for intense shrimp farming in the description below. Thank you and see you in the next video.